Welcome for a wonderful opportunity to engage with one of our amazing Ole Miss alumni. Fortunate to be here with Emmet Seibels today. And Emmet, thank you so much for being here. You've done a lot of great things. I know you graduated in '96 from Ole Miss in the managerial finance and the School of Business. Then you spent some time working, and then you went on to Harvard to get your MBA. And then you have been doing amazing things in Nashville, my hometown. So thank you very much for that, for coming back to the South. But Emma, get us started. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing these days.
Yeah, so you're right. I graduated Ole Miss in '96, and then I worked in investment banking in Atlanta for a couple of years. Started a company when I was 24 years old. And that was the first of 7 companies I've either been the founding employee of or an actual founder. Of those companies, a lot of them came after business school. I've been an entrepreneur basically since business school, working in healthcare, payment processing, and software. So I've been a part of 7 startup companies. 2 failed. 3 of them sold for a combined $500 million. And then I've got 2 companies that are too early to tell. One of them we just started in June. So I've got a 600 batting average, 3 for 5. But at least the 3 have been good. So I'm really excited to be here with you and talking to students and other people to help entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I was going to say, I know because you also serve on our advisory board for the Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. That's some of the great things that you've been doing. But can you talk a little bit about the industries that you selected to work in?
Yeah, sure. So the industries I worked in kind of happened based on finding great people to work with. It's a little different. When I was coming out of business school, I chose Nashville as the place I wanted to live. And I cold called like 25 of the wealthiest people in town I found out of a magazine. I cold called all the ones who were entrepreneurs or had been CEOs, not the ones who had inherited money. And eventually I cold called a guy who had a big payment processing company, and he was just starting a new company. And we've been together for years. So he had a payment processing company, and then later I had my own payment processing company. And then after that, he had an investment in a home sleep testing company, which got me into sleep apnea. And we've had 3 companies in that industry. So it kind of got me into healthcare. It was just all kind of following great people.
That's brilliant. And I got to admit, I know we're going a little bit off script here, but could you talk a little bit about your networking approach there? Because I've never heard that story about how you kind of broke into the Nashville scene, per se.
Yeah, so I would approach people for advice, not a job. They knew I was looking for a job. So that, when you're coming out of school, people know you're looking for a job. So I would say I'm looking for advice, which kind of disarms people and allows them to talk to you, more likely to talk to you. And so alumni are great for either Ole Miss or Harvard, either one. They always, frequently want to help young students. And so I just would either cold call or guess people's email address and just say, I'm trying to meet people in the area. And but I'd mainly be looking as much as anything for the next set of introductions. I found that was better than going through HR departments or job boards.
That's brilliant. Brilliant advice right there. I was going to say, that's one of those things I always try to coach students on. I know you do too, because you spend a lot of time in that area in terms of coaching students. In terms of, don't be afraid to use your connections. Do whatever you can to get a job, because at the same time, people want to help you. They want to help people who are engaged and excited about being there and learning about them from them. So
that's right. That's right.
Which is really important, especially given this period of COVID-19 pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about other potential catastrophic issues that you've had to overcome?
Yeah. In 2007, I started a business and raised $45 million as CEO from a private equity fund in New York and bought 3 companies, and then had some disagreements with the private equity fund and eventually got let go. The company was profitable when I left, and eventually it failed. It got sold to the debt holders because they took on so much debt. But anyway, what I learned from that was that I needed a great partner who was different than me to be successful. I had kind of started that business almost on my own without a great partner. And I just think it's really good to have people with complementary skill sets to succeed in an entrepreneurial environment. It's challenging enough and you need help. So I went back to our old CEO and partnered with him in the healthcare business that we started subsequently.
That's brilliant. What do you think will be the next challenge to which you have to adapt to in the field?
Working in healthcare, the biggest challenges are changes in regulations and reimbursement. So we've dealt a lot with Medicare, and a lot of the health plans will follow Medicare in changing the rules and changing what you get paid. So you have to adapt very fast. So I was in the CPAP industry for sleep apnea, and they had a program that was basically an auction called competitive bidding that drove down prices. And if you lost the auction, you were not allowed to sell any supplies in that city for Medicare. And so instead of seeing that as a bad thing, we said, okay, well, that's going to make a lot of people sell because they won't be able to make money in it. Prices went down 45%. I mean, it was a lot. So people went from making a lot of money to not making hardly any. And we started acquiring a lot of businesses, really just their assets, and built up a big company, and were able to reduce our costs and use technology to make it very profitable. That's one way where we took something that was hurting the industry and turned it around. So you just have to adapt. You have to be creative and look at negative things as opportunities to change strategy and build something different.
When you face career challenges, what kept you from giving up?
So there were really 3 things I probably rely on the most. The first one is just, as an entrepreneur, I feel like you've got to have what I term realistic optimism, which seems kind of like a paradox, but you've got to always have optimism that things are going to work out. And sometimes they don't, but you take those failures and learn from them. But you have to be realistic. So you have to look at the facts of the situation and really understand that you've got to navigate through that. You stay optimistic, but you don't have false optimism. You don't say everything's going to be great in 3 months. You look at it realistically and battle through that. The other thing is good mentors or confidants. In my case, it's really my wife. She is great at me telling her about stressful situations and not freaking out and giving me encouragement. And then the last thing I would say is faith in God. I think an eternal perspective really helps, knowing that, your legacy is not defined by career and any failures you may have in your career, but you've got a longer term view, and that I find that's comforting and gives me some peace and calmness when I'm facing tough decisions.
Great advice right there. Great advice. You mentioned your wife as being one of your mentors. Could you talk to us a little bit more about who you would also consider to be a mentor, and how did this person assist prepare you for the challenges? And by the way, if you'd like to highlight your wife again, because you can never do that enough, as we both know, that'd be great to do too.
She's more a confidant than a mentor, but my mentor would probably be the CEO I've worked with. I've worked with him on 4 of the 7 startups I mentioned. He's a real balance to me and a great partner. We're now pretty much partners. And he has great sales and negotiation skills, a really good strategic instincts, but he's not detail oriented. Together, we're very creative. We both have a lot of acquisition experience, and I bring more finance-minded approach and more detail-oriented. And I'm probably a better manager of people. I'm kind of less hard on people, which can be good or bad. But he can fire somebody and be fine. I can't sleep at night when I have to fire somebody. So we're different, and he can get a little heated, and I keep a cool, calm, collected, analytical approach. And so we're really very complementary. We work well. He can do things comfortably that maybe is a little uncomfortable for me, and he has skills I don't have, and we've just worked really well together. So he's been a mentor.
That's really brilliant that you bring that up once again about those compliments and how you complement each other. And you don't have to do everything by yourself, right? It's part of that team, and everybody's investing in the team. And because when people invest, they're investing in you, and obviously your partner right there. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Could you talk a little bit for college students? One of the things, actually, I'm going to take this a slightly different direction, and I'll come back to it. You do a great job. I know you're really passionate about internships and things like that to help give students experiences. Could you talk a little bit about why internships, from your perspective, are so important?
Well, I think internships complement the classroom. I think in your first 2 years of school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew I liked business, but I didn't really. It was because my father was in business. I didn't really know a lot of details. So you're learning in school. I find that if you get an internship, you learn how a business works a lot better. It all depends on the type of internship. If it's something where they invest in you and really teach you about the business, even if you're not adding a ton of value, but if you're learning about the business, that can be great. It actually will inform you on what major to do to enroll in, or what classes to take. So the reason I got an investment banking job is I had an internship with a big brokerage firm, and they rotated us through all these different departments, and I liked investment banking. And so after that, knew I needed to get more accounting experience, and took intermediate accounting as like a elective just to take it. And I never would have done that if I hadn't had an internship. I never would have gotten the investment banking job if I didn't take those courses. So, it's just really great training, learning, and then kind of focusing what you want to do in school and what you want to study, and sharpening your interests.
Brilliant. That's an excellent answer. What should college students do to be more prepared to have an entrepreneurial mindset? Because you help them, the internship is great to get them a career, but that entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah, I think to me, there's two skills that help most for entrepreneurs are either sales skills or finance skills. And the greatest entrepreneurs have a little bit of both, in my opinion. Obviously, management skills, there are a lot of different skills that all help. But I'm a big fan of, if you can't sell it, you don't have a business. And if you can sell it, but you don't have a good finance mind, you're going to misprice things. You might lose money. You might overspend and not realize it till it's too late. So I think those two areas are really good. Sales is hard to teach in school. So I think internships, again, are a great way. It comes with practice. And so if you can get an internship one summer where you sell some, I think that's great. Then I think if you're not comfortable selling, finance skills are very important. And you may partner with somebody who's really good at sales to have an entrepreneurial business. And so I really like those skills from a vision standpoint. I think those two skills can really help an entrepreneurial mindset.
That's excellent. And I was going to say, I know, because finance, obviously, you can learn the formulas, you can figure that out, but it's still hard to apply it, as we also know, on the accounting side. But the selling is also really difficult too, but they're two different skill sets a lot of times.
Yes.
We can do both. are obviously going to do really well. But wonderful insight for that. Emmet, thank you so much for taking your time to be with us today. And once again, congratulations on the sale of your two most recent sales. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to hearing about your next great venture and how you sold that to down the road. But thank you so much for taking time with us today.
Thank you, and howdy toddy.